Fine. So I'm going to teach you OOPS now, object oriented programming, which is very important. Okay, because the complete architecture of Selenium is object oriented. All right. Look, you cannot just learn Selenium by just saying that fine, I'll go and study few concepts in Java and that's it, right? You have to have the knowledge of Java, very thoroughly. You have to have a very thorough knowledge of Java. So I'll just create a new project over here and I'll call it a new Java project. Okay, and name it as day 2, right? And inside it, yeah, Rajashri, what's your question? Right. Inside this project, okay, I'll make a simple class. I'll make a simple Java file and I'll name this Java file as car.java. Okay, right. And what are the properties of a car? Okay, yesterday I told you, right, what a class is, how you can make a class in Java. Right, I made this class known as car. The properties of the class are string name, the name of the class. Okay, you're not able to hear me. Hold on, just a minute. Just 1 minute, guys. If some of the people are not able to hear me. Okay, this is the name of the car. Then another property can be, say, the price of the car. So these are two simple properties of the car class, name and price. Okay, and what I'll do is that I'll create a new class known as test car. Okay, and in this class I will do something known as creating object of the car class. So how do you create the object of the car class? Right. Okay, to do that you have to write over here new car. This line means that I have created one object of the car class. Now what do you mean by creating the object? Okay, look, by saying that I'm creating an object, it's pretty simple. An object will be formed in the memory. Okay, and that object will have properties of the car class. Okay, you can say name and price. Okay, these are the two properties of the car class. Okay, right. So just a minute, guys. Right. So in the memory, this object is formed and two properties are formed. I can create as many objects of the car class as possible. I can create, this is the one object and I have created another object. This object will also have the property name and price. But what is the use of this? What is the use of creating the object? Okay, you will come to know in some time. You cannot access these objects. Okay, you cannot access these objects. You need to write like this: car C1 equals to new car and car C2 equals to new car. So C1 and C2 are two object references which are pointing towards the car class object. Okay, right. So this C1 and C2, they are known as object references. Okay, these are not objects, these are object references. What happens is that in the memory, C1 will point towards say the first object and C2 will point towards this. Okay, they point towards the object. With C1 and C2, we can access the object and we can change the state of the objects. Okay, for example, I can write over here C1 dot say name is car A and C1 dot price is say 100. So what will happen is that the object to which C1 was pointing, okay, the name will be A, the price will become 100 in the memory. And similarly, I can write C2 dot name is car B and C2 dot price is say 200. So obviously, it's pretty simple. Okay, right now it's pretty simple. Okay, the name will be B and the price will be 200. I am teaching you these things because these are required in Selenium. You know, if people don't know these basics and they directly try to write the code in Selenium, and if they're stuck, they're stuck very badly. Okay, right. So out here, if you print system.out.println c1.name and say you print c2.name, so this will print the respective names, right? Okay, so these are the properties of the object name and price in the car class. Okay, right. There can be a function as well in the car class. Public void say start. There can be a function system.out.println car starting plus you can write the name of the car class. Okay, so this start function will also become a part of the object. So every object will have this start function. Okay, right. So if in the test car, if I write over here c1 dot start and c2 dot start, right. If I write c1 dot start and c2 dot start, so what will happen when c1 calls its start function, it will print, hold on, let me run it, starting car A, and when c2 calls its starts function, it will print starting car B. It's pretty obvious. The function is one, it prints the name of the car, but which object reference is calling the function, that matters. Okay, right. Now out here, little things, hold on, something I'll tell you. Look, I'm not jumping to Selenium, I'm just clearing out few basic things in Java first. Okay, out here, if I write if I write C1 equals to C2. Now, what does this mean? This means that, hold on. This means that in the memory, C1 was pointing here, C2 was pointing here, fine. Every object had its own set of variables and functions. So now C1 will not point over here. C1 will point towards the location where C2 was pointing. Okay, so C1 and C2 will start pointing to the same object. and both of them can change the state. Okay, if I write over here c1.start and c2.start again, okay, this is a demarcation line which I have drawn. If I run this program, for both of them it will print car starting B because both of them are pointing towards the same car. If I write over here c1 dot price is say 1000, then if I print c1 dot price as well as c2 dot price, both of them will print the same price because both of them now point towards the same object. Okay, so this is object oriented programming. In Selenium also we create objects. Okay, we simply create objects and we work with objects in Selenium. For example, let me include the jar files of Selenium in this project. Okay, look guys, yesterday I told you about Selenium 3.0 which is launched, and we downloaded this 3.0.1. Okay, right, but I am not going to use 3.0.1 in the training because it is unstable. I will tell you in the training why it is unstable in the coming classes. Okay, we will use a stabler build which is 2.53. Alright, if you go to the official website of Selenium, I'm sorry, which is seleniumhq.org. If you go over there and if you click on the download section, it will tell you that fine, download the latest version 3.0.1, but there are lot of open issues and lot of bugs which are there with this. Simple pop-up handling doesn't work. Okay, there is something known as Firefox profiling, that doesn't work. So there is a lot of issues over here. Okay, yesterday also I told you that if you go to the change log section, this section tells you that what happened in every release. Okay, and they had this release over here 2.53 which was the final 2.x release, and it was very stable. After that they came up with 3.0 and there were a lot of issues, and issues are still being fixed. Okay, so right now what I am going to do, I am going to use 2.53. I will give you the jar files of 2.53 after the class, okay, which you can also use. Alright, so I will include the jar files of 2.53 in this project. I told you right yesterday how you include it. You go to the, you have to right click on the project or go to the properties, and then you go to Java build path. Under the library section, out of the 4 tabs, under the library section, you have to go to add external jars and add the jar file for Selenium. So these jar files I'll give you after the class 2.53. So I'll include the main jar file and the jar files under lib section. Okay, now my project is Selenium enabled. Right, now in Selenium there are drivers. What do you mean by drivers? For every browser there is a driver. For example, if I write over here new Firefox driver, there is a class, there is an internal class in Selenium known as Firefox driver. I am creating the object of that class. I'll move my mouse over it, I'll get the option to, it's showing an error. You move the mouse over the error, you'll get the option to import this. You need to import it, and you'll have the line on the top of your code that you need to import this class. This class is present, it's a pre-built class present in one of the jar files of Selenium. Car class was something which I made. Firefox driver class is something which Selenium guys have made. It is present inside one of the jars which I have included, and I have created the object of that class. So when I run this program, you will see that simply a new Firefox browser will open up. Okay, so everything in Selenium is inbuilt. It's not rocket science. You have to create the objects of existing classes and you have to work with them. To give the object an object reference, you can write Firefox driver, say fd equals to new Firefox driver. Okay, and you can write Firefox driver dot get, go to the location http say yahoo.com. So get is a function. There are lots of functions in this Firefox driver class, okay, which we'll be talking about. One of the functions is get, which is responsible to take you to a certain website. Writing the protocol is important. It is not like QTP. In QTP you can directly, or UFT you can directly give the website name. In Selenium you have to give the protocol. Okay, it is important. So when you run this code, this will launch Firefox and take you to Yahoo. If anybody has any questions between the class, you can feel free to ask your questions. You can ping me on the chat, or you can unmute yourself and ask me questions. I'm also available on Skype. You can reach us on Skype. Okay. So out here, you see that it opens Firefox and takes you to this particular website. Okay. So this is one of the drivers. There are various drivers. Alright. If you go to the official website and go to Java docs, this is the documentation of Selenium. Okay. If you look at the Java docs, then these are all the classes in Selenium which are present inside Selenium. Look, in Selenium there is nothing new. You have to understand these classes, create their objects and work with them. Okay, right. I also don't remember all the classes. Whenever required, I refer the documentation. But yes, there are few major classes which you need to know about and which you need to remember. Okay, so out here, if you go scroll down, you will see something known as WebDriver written. If you click on it, okay, right, you will see that these are the implementing classes. Okay, these are the implementing classes. Chrome driver is there, Edge driver is there, event firing, Firefox, iDriver. Okay, what do you mean by implementing classes? I'll tell you, but these are the driver classes in Selenium. Each driver class represents a certain browser. We just talked about Firefox driver. We created the object of Firefox driver. Similarly, you have got Chrome driver, which is for Chrome. Okay, you can create the object of Chrome driver. Right, just a minute. I can write Chrome driver cd equals to new Chrome driver. And I can work with Chrome. You need to import this. Okay, when you run this code, you will get an exception. Okay, right. Look, what you need to do is that you need to actually, hold on. You need to actually go to the official website of Selenium and you will have, hold on. You need to scroll down. Yeah, you need to go to third party driver bindings. You will see Google Chrome driver written over here. Okay, click on this link, open this link, and you will see the latest release 2.27. Okay, click on this and hold on. Yeah, you'll be taken to this page. I'll ping you the link to everyone. Ashish is asking a question that what happens if we don't mention the protocol HTTP? It will throw an error. It will not work. It will not go to yahoo.com. It will throw an error to you, exception. Okay. So this is the link. Right. Now out here you will find various zip files. For Windows 64-bit or 32-bit, you can download this zip file. It is required to work with Chrome. For Mac, you can download this one. Okay. So once you download and extract it, you will get this Chrome driver.exe file. Don't run it. You will not get anything by running it. Okay. Copy the path to the driver and write over here system dot set, hold on, this command has to be written system dot set property. Okay, the property is WebDriver dot Chrome dot driver, and you need to give the path to the exe file. Okay, in Java you have to give double slash. Okay, so system.set property webdriver.chrome.driver. This has, the spelling has to be correct and everything has to be in the lower case, and you give the path of Chrome driver exe which you have downloaded. This is mandatory. This is how Selenium is made. Okay, only then when you run this, you will see that the Chrome browser will open. See that? If still it gives you issues, just try to reinstall your Chrome. Okay, and then write the command chrome driver.get to the URL hold on. You will have to write chrome driver.get http say yahoo.com. Again over here protocol is important, and when you run it, right. So see that this website opens, right. So it works perfectly. Similarly, for Internet Explorer, you have got iDriver. Okay, right. So for working with iDriver, hold on. You have got internet. Look, if you just write internet and hit control spacebar after it, you will get all the names of all the classes starting with internet. So I want to use this one, Internet Explorer driver. Okay, so I'll use this one, Internet Explorer driver. Say I equals to new. You give the same name, Internet Explorer driver. You create the object of this class. And if you run it, it will also give you an exception. For I also, you need to download an exe file. Okay, go to the official website of Selenium, and under the download section, you will find this Internet Explorer driver server. I am recording the session. I'll give you the recording as well. Okay, don't worry that how will I note everything or something. I am recording. Okay, and you can download the this from this link for your 64-bit I or 32-bit I. You can download, and you will get this exe file out here, idriverserver.exe. Okay, again you have to write the line system dot set property webdriver dot I dot driver to the path of exe file for I, that is fdrive drivers idriverserver.exe. Okay, right. So this will be your Internet Explorer driver. Hold on, Chetan, I'll answer your question. Hold on. Right. No, Anusha, I'll also answer your question. Hold on. There are two questions being asked. I'll just answer them. Just hold on. So I also, you can write I dot get over here and take you to http yahoo.com. Okay. Right. So when you run this code, There is some issue in my eye actually. Yeah, see that I hold on. Let me run it again. Yes. Okay, so right. It's not taking you to Yahoo because there is actually I'm using i9. i9 is not supported right now. Okay, fully it's not supported fully. Okay. Yeah, so it's working. It's loading yahoo.com. So there are few questions being asked over here. Okay. The first question is, when you ask a question on the chat, address it to everyone so that everyone can see it. Okay, so the first question is by Chetan and he asks that does Selenium 2.53 which I am using support the latest versions of browser like Mozilla Chrome I? Look, Chrome and I will not give issues. For Mozilla, please use Mozilla 40. Okay, right. If you are using Selenium 3. Something, it will support the latest version, but there are few issues with the latest version of Selenium. Okay, right. And the next question is from Anusha, which is, don't we need to download and set property for Firefox driver? Look, you don't need to do that. No. For Firefox driver, there is no exe file, but in Selenium 3.0, there is an exe file. You need to download it, and you need to download it from the Selenium website, which is this Mozilla Gecko driver you need to download. But 3.0 is unstable. As a beginner, it really doesn't matter whether you are using 3.0, 2.53 or even 2.0. Okay, the major classes and major functionalities, they are same. Alright, so I would suggest you to use the stable version 2.53. I will give you the the release notes and I'll give you the jar files for 2.53 after the class. Okay, the next question is by Sumant that if I want to run my test cases in different browsers, I have to add each driver. Can I not just use? No. You have to have each driver added. Okay, and I'll discuss this problem. I know this is an issue and I'll discuss this issue in detail as well. That how can I accommodate for these kind of properties, setting the properties for each and every test or something. Okay, you have to add them. Right. Another question being asked is that when I run this code, I am getting a terminated error. Okay, you're trying to run it along with me. Maybe you need to reinstall your browser. It will work. Okay, and make sure you add all the jar files of Selenium 2.53. Okay, I'm going to give you the jar files after the class. Alright. Fine. So this is a simple code made by me based on the object-oriented concepts I taught you. Now, coming back to object-oriented concepts, coming back to the car class. Okay, look, uh, technically, everything in the car class right now is known as non-static. Look, there is something known as static in Java as well. Yesterday I had made this program, first Java program, and this main function was static. What do you mean by static over here? Okay, this car class is there. Okay, technically these two variables, these are known as non-static global variable. Okay, this is also a non-static global variable. This is a non-static function. There is something known as static as well. Okay, right. So out here, what do you mean by static and non-static? Right. Suppose if I make a variable int wheels. Okay. And in the test car class which I had made, I had created two objects of the car class and I was writing c1 dot name is a, c1 dot price is this, c2 dot this, and this is this. Right. Okay. Right. So out here, you will write c1 dot wheels are 4 and c2 dot wheels are 4. No matter how all the cars have got 4 wheels. Okay. Right. So out here, you will actually, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that I always write c1 dot wheels 4 in the memory. Okay, in the memory all the objects will be formed and all the objects will have wheels as 4. Okay, so no matter how many objects I am creating, all the objects will have 4 wheels. Alright, so no, it's kind of redundant, right? So what we do is that we make the wheels as static. So when we make it static, right, what happens is that suppose we have got 3 objects. So the wheels variable will not be stored in the objects. Okay, they will be stored inside a separate area in the memory. It will be common for all the objects. So static is something which is common. It is common for all the objects. Right. Now, what do you mean by common for all the objects? It resides at a memory location, right, which is common. Okay. Now, you don't need to put this static thing inside the object. See, you get a yellow warning over here. It says that it is not a good practice. Static can be accessed directly with the name of the car class. Say car dot wheels are 4. So what will happen is that it can be directly accessed with the name class. Right. Okay. So what will happen is that, hold on just a minute. Yeah. What will happen is that all the objects which are created will have 4 wheels. And if you write over here car dot wheels system dot out dot println car dot wheels and run this program, it will print 4. Alright, fine. So out here, it is a very good practice, or it's a bad practice rather. First of all, this is a bad practice. C1 dot wheels. You cannot declare wheels for a particular object. You have to declare the wheels for the complete class. And similarly, you can have static functions. This variable is known as non-static global variable. Okay, right. And I can also make a static function. Sorry, not non-static. This is a static global variable. I'm really sorry. And you can also make a static function known as public static void, say any function like refuel. So every car has the option of refueling or whatever it is, right? So the static function will be the property of the car class. You can directly call it with the name of the car class without creating the object. But for the non-static properties, to access them creating the objects, it is mandatory. Okay, right. Anybody with any questions? Because this is important. People, they get confused with static, non-static, right? And then they actually reach us. Fine. And most of the people don't know this concept, and they start directly working with Selenium. So in the Firefox driver, Chrome driver, iDriver, there are static and non-static properties. If you talk about Firefox driver, then you create the object, you get all the properties over here. These are the functions and all non-static ones. If you write over here Firefox driver dot, you will get few static things, okay, which we'll hardly use, but they are present. Okay, you can create the object. There's a question being asked, without static can we create the object? And I cannot understand the question. You can create the object of the class anyways, but static fields can be directly accessed without creating the objects. But if you want to access the non-static fields like we have name and price, you have to create the object. It is mandatory. Okay, right. So this is about static and non-static. Anyone with any questions? Yeah, anyone? Naina, why we use void? Void is the return type of functions. Just watch the video number 2. In that I have shown return types. Okay. So can we directly assign a value to static variable in the car class? Rajni, we are directly assigning it like this. At least you have to give the class name. Okay. Right. So today I taught you about the basic drivers, Chrome driver, iDriver, Firefox driver, and what static, non-static is. But if you come down to drivers, the basic question is that, will I be writing a separate piece of code for every driver? Suppose I have a website and I want to test my website on all the 3 browsers, Firefox, Chrome. Will I have to write a separate piece of code for all the 3 browsers, because I have got 3 different drivers for every browser? Okay. Right. Fine. So now there's a question being asked, mean like static int wheels, can we directly assign a value? Yes, we can assign the value over here as well. Static int wheels equals to 9, I can say. So whichever car will be made with 9 wheels. Okay, you can also do that. Alright. Now I'll stop here. Okay, because the next thing is interfaces, which I need to talk about, and I need another 40-45 minutes continuously for that. I have recorded this session. We'll be giving you the recorded video. Okay, Ashish, as I proceed with the course, I'll tell you the same answer, that why my main function is static. You will come to know. Okay, you'll come to know. Fine. So what I'll do is that I'll stop here